This would be a really cool podcast. You ready?
Wait, no, don't cross your legs
It
podcast.
could be like the oh no. Good morning and welcome to the Breakthrough You podcast. I'm Josh Rosales on the Spread the Positive Network, where we break through mindsets with Trent Denson. Yeah, here we go. And period, point blank. That's what we do. So most often, there's a really cool quote by Robert Schuller, and it says, most often, we do hold ourselves back from where we should be or where we are. And he says that it's unfulfilled dreams that keep you alive. And it's those unfulfilled dreams that some people try to attain, and then they just get so tired of trying to attain them that they get tired and then they don't fulfill those dreams. And for us, I was telling Sabrina that's going to be joining us, that is here with us this morning, that the grind is not a 9-to-5 job. It's when you have unfulfilled dreams, you keep trying to achieve them and reach for them every single day, and it's not just within a 9-to-5 period. And so Robert Schuller says it's unfulfilled dreams that keep you alive, and that is so true. That's just really stuck with me throughout the week, and I'm so thrilled, incredibly excited and ecstatic and all the other words to have Sabrina Byrum Byrum in the studio with us. How are you, Sabrina? Exactly, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, can I get a woo woo? How's it going, Sabrina?
Hair flip over here.
I know, look at that. Whip my hair back and forth. I whip my hair back and forth. Here we go.
I like how you say that, Byrum.
Byrum.
No alcohol
Yeah,
needed there.
exactly. Exactly. Man, look at this. I'm going to keep to the script here. Oh my goodness.
Darn, I was trying. I was close.
Man.
I almost had you off.
So how are you doing, Sabrina?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm here this morning. I'm alive on, your kind of schedule, 3 hours of sleep.
I know, it's crazy. Like 4 hours, 3 hours of sleep. It's incredible. Every so often you don't run across individuals that like are on the same page as you. Like, it's like probably like 3 or 4 people I've met. They're like, yeah, I go to bed at 2 a.m. I'm like, me too. And like, I'm on the grind 7 days a week. On the 7 days a week, me too. It's like, wow. Like, and so we got another, I'm so glad that we're on the same
when
page.
I look
with
to
that.
the moon, I'll think of you.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 a.m. I'll go into bed. So is Sabrina. Like, we're all good.
Is he staring at the fridge open too, like I am right now?
Man, it's crazy. I cheated and made some baked some chocolate chip cookies last night. Threw them in the oven. Watched the UFC. UFC had a pay-per-view last night. I was watching them, and it was fun. I was like, man, this is not good, but it is so good. So I was like, oh my, this is absolutely amazing. And so I know that you are no stranger to the Spread the Positive. No stranger to the Spread the Positive. And to have you here is incredible. You said this is the first time that you've been in the studio, right?
Yeah, I told you never forget your first. So
yeah.
This is a big
this is cool. I mean, Trent and the Spread the Positive crew have done an amazing job and still building out. And it's just incredible to having a place to come. And I'm glad that you're here.
It's that I walked in and I just thought, Pittsburgh Steelers, like black and yellow, black and yellow, black and positive, black and positive.
And I know that we're connected on social media. And I tag you on like everything. It's crazy. I had someone.
I love it.
I had someone that messaged me.
I'm like, yes, it's Joshua.
I had someone message me, and they were like, "Hey, Josh, I appreciate," and they're a social media influencer, and we work a lot together. And they were like, "I appreciate that you tag me and everything, but tag me when we work together." I'm like, that's cool. I tag you when we work together. And I just keep going. But it's all good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all good. I don't take anything personally. Even I mean, anywhere. You can't take anything personally. You just like, okay, cool. We're still good. We're still gonna work together. I totally understand. Maybe I'm tagging you too much, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna poke Sabrina.
Hey, you got me here. Spread the perseverance. Spread
exactly.
the poke.
Hey, I don't take no for an answer. If you tell me no, it's no for today, not for, not forever. I just keep,
Sounds like most
unless
men,
you call the cops on me and say, hey, get ready to stop. I'm like, okay, cool. We keep going. So let me ask you this. We were just talking a little while ago, and you had mentioned that, well, where are you from?
Yeah, I'm originally from the Outer Banks side, eastern side of North Carolina over there. So,
North
and
Carolina.
my family moved up to the Virginia Beach area.
I heard Virginia Beach is really cool.
Yeah,
Never been there, but
I don't want to hurt my beach folks, so I'm not, yeah, it's cool, but I'm not there no more, so it's a little bit less cool.
So is it similar to Tennessee?
No.
No.
No. It was yeah, it's my family moved up there kind of during my high school years, right at the beginning. And then I left for Washington, D.C. when I was just about 19 years old. And I really feel like I grew up there and during what I like to say, just my girl to woman years. And I spent, a good 10 years up there before I had my eyes set on Nashville.
So what took you to DC? Well, take me back. I mean, let's just do this. Like, let's hop in the Back to the Future. Let's get into the continuum and let's go back and tell me about the early years and like what took you from North Carolina to DC, and I'm interested.
I need more men to say that,
I'm interested.
One's not enough, gosh, I didn't have the greatest Save the Sap story on the Sunday morning. I didn't have the greatest childhood growing up, and that's okay because it made me the woman I am today. But I think that had a lot to do with why I had my eyes set on DC and just wanting better for myself. And I am a Christian, so I had this very strong instinct in my gut that was just like, if you do not make this jump, you are going to regret it for the rest of your life.
So was it a period, like it was like a window that it was like, okay, hey, this is the best time for me to make this move, and so I'm going to make it?
Yeah, what contributed to that is I had actually, what's pretty cool is I never cheered a day in my life. I came from teen parents that were only like 15 when they had me. And so you can imagine, the funds were always pretty tight growing up, and there wasn't really a whole lot of room to do anything. But, I went after the NFL. And I just have always tended to think big and think outside the box. And I think, I've just always had that kind of mental dominance inside my head where it's like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I don't care the odds, to me, I think it's pretty cool when you have the odds stacked against you.
Exactly.
It's just going to make the story all more better. And I went after the NFL, and I was one of like 20 girls that made it into the training camp. So that was really a pivotal moment. I was having to commute from the Virginia Beach area to the Washington Redskins Stadium at the time, which is in Landover, Maryland. And I was the only girl out of those groups that was probably single and didn't have a boyfriend, didn't have a husband, and also commuting 4 or 5 hours to it, 3 or 4 days a week. And so that was kind of the pivotal moment of, okay, it was the pooling, I would say, that this is how we're going to get you up there. And yeah.
So you had the experience of being in the training camp, and then so from there, did you make it on the squad?
I made they have like these they have like a practice squad, or it's kind of tricky to explain, especially now that it's been like over 10 years. Which is crazy. But yeah, I had made it, but again, the funds were
tight.
For me, they were a little bit tight. Palms don't pay the bills. So
Yeah.
it was either you stand out, in the rain with just palms over your head, or you get a roof.
Yeah.
So I tried to I chose the roof option, and but still, such an incredible moment.
So you grew up in DC, considering like you grew up in DC, and then from DC, like how'd you make your transition to Nashville?
I conquered DC. I got bored. Really, I started to. As crazy as that sounds, because that place is anything but boring.
DC.
Yeah.
So you said, wait. You said you conquered DC. So you, so what else did you do?
Oh goodness.
Did you start your real estate career in DC?
No, I didn't. But I did have. So what was also a kind of pivotal moment in DC, I was, when I first moved up there, I was waitressing, and that was also a really draw factor as to, okay, like I'm making more money here waitressing as opposed to the restaurant back home. So obviously stick it out. And it was there that I had met a radio show host who was, what do you want to call it? A regular at my table. And he told me one day, he was like, Sabrina, have you ever heard of promotional modeling? And I was like, no. And he was like, that's crazy. He's like, you'd be perfect for it. And really for those who don't know what promotional modeling is, it tends to, where they'll, probably hire an attractive female to represent, be the face and voice for a company and reel in leads and, and then transition those leads over to the client themselves and they seal the deal.
Exactly.
And so the radio show host had some type of event going on and he was like, well, I'll hire you for a weekend to, work a gig. And I was like, well, hold on, weekend's my money making time. So what are we talking? And he was like, well, what do you typically make? And I told him, and he's like, I'll pay you that. And it was from there where I remember I did that event and I just turned around and I looked at him and I was like, people get paid to do this. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah,
I'm going to do this.
And it just, it just multiplied from there.
So was it the Marilyn Monroe thing or was it a different?
That's a whole nother
story.
It's a whole nother chapter.
I'm very inquisitive. I'm a very inquisitive person. So
it's okay. I'm a very, positive.
That's cool. Spread the positive around here. No. So that's cool. So you got into promotional modeling.
Yes.
Amazing. And then one thing led to another. And then you conquered DC that way, right?
Yeah. I really, at the time.
Well, what after you tell me this, like what was one of the one or two like major things while you were doing promotional modeling that you're like, wow, the biggest things that you did?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So definitely the first thing that comes to mind is DC had this huge event called Fight Night. It was always held at the Washington Hilton where Ronald Reagan was killed, which just to give you an idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really popular place.
Really, huge, the Washington Hilton Hotel. And Fight Night was created for Fight for Children DC. So typical to like UFC, they have like a big boxing, huge tournament, and it's a very huge celebrity-oriented event. And they hire about 100 to 200 some girls to host at these tables. And, it's just a huge event. Well, I had built, in a very short period of time, probably 2 years, if that, just a really good reputation up in DC. I think it was because I liked money and I said yes to everything. And so
that's what you got to do.
Yeah, it is. And, but I had created such a demand for myself that I, looking back, I didn't even realize what I was doing.
Building your brand.
Yeah. And
we're going to get into that, but keep going.
Well, it was from there that someone, one of the companies had been hired to staff out the girls. And they came to me and they're like, Sabrina, we want you to manage this. And because we're there in New York, we can't be on site. You're right around the corner. We need you to kind of handle these things. And I was only 24 years old at the time. And I look back and I was like, gosh, that was such, to take on, that event, which was, been going on for 75, even probably more years than that. And to, be a leader amongst, a lot of these, women and to be very young too. I think it spoke volumes as to, just my character and who I was. And that stands out immediately.
Well, you're probably so hungry. I think of it this way too. Like you're so right. You're so hungry and driven. Like you were probably like soaked in everything. You're just like taking it all in. Your passion and your drive really just consumed you. And so in probably a period of time, they came to you and were like, wow, you're really getting it. If it's a passion, you're learning it. It's because you're hungry, you're driven. And because of that, this is what we want you to do. We want you to run it. And it's like, it wasn't more of a job to you. It was like, hey, this is what I do. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And I can help others, so that's incredible.
It was definitely probably one of the bigger events that stand out to me. And just being so young too, I think just really spoke a lot of volumes. I definitely dealt with a lot of people, when I first moved up there, and they were like, Sabrina, you're going to deal with competition, and I'm like,
yeah, bring it on. Bring it on.
People in DC have money, but they have no personality.
Yeah, look at that. Okay. We're going to bring it on. Competition is always welcomed. Definitely.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it just helps you. I think competition gives you a measurement of you.
Yeah.
And so it is definitely, it's like, oh, wow, I either got to work on my game. I got to sharpen my skill set. Because I mean, it's all, I mean, it's your craft, you know? And it's like, I was reading an article and it was talking about sharpening the axe.
Yeah.
And talking about,
exactly.
The big guy and the small guy, and the big guy, they had a contest, and the small guy over 45 minutes left and came back. And the big guy at the end of it, he was like, where'd you go? He's like, how'd you beat me? He was like, well, while you were kept chopping away, I kept every 45 minutes going and sharpen my axe. And it's like, you have to keep sharpening your axe. You got to keep sharpening your skill sets, because I mean, it doesn't take long for it to get dull. You got to be on your game 24/7. And that's a perfect example right there.
Yeah, it's it just truly took off for me in that area, and it took me everywhere. It took me around the world. And it, I always say men like things they can hold, but women like opportunity.
Yeah. Hey,
things they can't hold. And so that's really, but I also felt like I was living out my purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and
how'd that make you feel? Like you felt like you were living out your purpose, but like how did it made you feel fulfilled? Made you feel like every day when you got out of bed, your feet hit the ground? Like, what was that feeling like?
Well, I don't know if I'm always hungry. So
yeah.
I don't know if I ever get fulfilled or fooled.
Those unfulfilled dreams.
Yeah, it's I mean, but I was happy.
Yeah.
I might have, I was happy. I was living out what, everyone back home had told me, go be a nurse, go be a teacher. And in my head, I had was like, no, like I want to meet Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I want to work NBA games. And, it all seemed like it would just only be in my head, but it was, truth be told, all of those things came into existence, and I experienced, and I accomplished so much. And so in a relatively, like I said, looking back, for a young age, that I am just so grateful I stuck with my gut.
Yeah.
And it grew even more from there. The promotional was just the beginning.
Hey, they say that if you ever in doubt, just go with your gut.
Yeah.
And I'm like, people talk about that as, it's a true thing.
Yeah.
It's a very true, like, go with your gut. If your gut's telling you something, stick with it. It will more than likely, probably 99% of the time, not be wrong. I mean, it's been that way in my situations and stuff, especially like, got to go with it.
Yeah.
Got to go with your gut.
100%. It's
So tell me about the Marilyn Monroe thing and the real estate agent thing. Like, so you conquered DC, you came to Nashville.
Yes.
And then like when you ended up in Nashville, like, did you already have leads that you like, or like, tell me about that whole transition from DC to Nashville. Okay. And then Marilyn Monroe, real estate agent. Like, I'm interested.
So it was towards the end of my real estate stuff, just my promotional stuff, pardon me, in DC, end of my stay there, that I really was at the height of my career. Really, looking back, that was like 2017, 2018. I was I was also, from the promotional stuff, it transitioned into a business. So really, it got to the point where I'd created such a demand for myself that I could not keep up. And people and clients, would come to me and they're like, Sabrina, we only want to hire you for the event. And I'm like, I can't, I can't be there.
Yeah.
Like I'm already, if I could multiply myself, I would. But I was like, I can do my best to hire a girl and, tell her, these are the things that I do. This is, I tend to look at the heart as opposed to what's on paper. And so, that's what a business grew from there. And I was doing a lot of princess work. So I was hired to come into these glamorous homes and, be a princess for these, you know, these families that, had birthday parties, celebrations for their kids. And I was coming in as Belle, Elsa, Ariel, I had
Let
been,
it go, let it go.
Woo, I was trying to let some things go. But it was, I was doing it. And then it was from there again that I was still heavily involved, obviously, in the promotional industry and now running a business, staffing out girls. And one of my friends that I knew at the time, she was like, it was around Halloween. And she said, Sabrina, one of my clients wants a, Marilyn Monroe lookalike for this event coming up. And she's like, I can't get you out of my head. She's like, I think you'd be phenomenal for it. And, I had always, throughout the years had actually always been called a little Marilyn Monroe. I think it was just because, way I did my hair, my makeup, very, very bubbly. And I was like, sure, I'll do the event for you. And when I made myself up, I was actually body painted as Marilyn Monroe my first time ever. And she was a body paint artist. And when I got to the event, I couldn't even get through the front door. Like there were so many people were just stopping me all in the streets. It was booked out in Fells Point, Baltimore, in a big restaurant, and I couldn't get past them. And I just thought, man, there's something to this. And just knowing, the people in DC and how they look for personality, and knowing like the event industry itself and coming from it, and knowing that I was already going in as Belle and these other characters that I looked nothing like. I was just like, after I did that event that day, I had sang happy birthday to this guy, and I walked away that night.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Oh yeah, I can get real. I have had my fair share of singing happy birthdays. But I walked away that night and I just created a website, and I just had that lady that I did the event for leave a review, and I took a lot of photos at that event and put up a lot of photos. And I reached out to a couple of entertainment companies that I knew up in the area. And I said, hey, like, I'm a Marilyn Monroe impersonator. And I just owned it. And it was shortly, like 3 weeks later, that someone reached out to me. And it was a country club up there in DC. And they were like, we need, one of our clients just got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and we would really love to, make his birthday special. I said, absolutely. And I didn't know what I was charging. I didn't even know what I was doing. But I was just like, I'm going to own it, and it took, I am so grateful for that chapter really of my life, because what it did is it took an insane amount of confidence to own it and to walk into a room of, the Marilyn Monroe stuff. It grew so big that I couldn't even, it was something I couldn't keep up with. Again, I'd get hired by MGM, the Four Seasons. I had clients all over, the really big clients. And I was so afraid that I was going to mess up at some point. But looking back, it was like, no, you almost look like it at a math problem. You keep applying the same things, you're going to get the same answer. And I kept applying everything I did with all my clients. I went over and beyond, but every client's different too. So you cater to them. You don't give them the same.
You know what? It's crazy. So talking just here in the few seconds, you have alluded to, I think a lot of people, they stumble into something and it's like, oh wow, this could be really, this could be it. Like
Yeah.
this could be it. But then they don't know how to quantify that or turn it into, that's where the entrepreneurial hat comes
Yes.
in, right? And so it's
The
like, okay,
hustle part.
yeah, that's where the
Yeah.
hustle part comes in. And so
And
talking with you, and you're mentioning that, okay, you realized, first of all, you just didn't go and, oh, we had a great time. I took pictures, met a lot of great people. Let me go home and then let me wait for the next one. It's like, no, I realized that, wow, this could be a moment in time where it could change my life, and went home, started a website, put up some photos, started making phone calls. That's the entrepreneurial side of it.
yeah, it's I definitely saw the potential for sure. And I saw, okay, no one was doing this in DC,
Yeah.
and I view that as a strength. I view it as an opportunity to be able to, okay, well, I can start it and I can make it either really bad where no one wants to hire me, or I can make it where they don't want anyone else but me if
Mhm.
someone comes along. And that's what I had done. And it
So I mean, you're building your brand. I mean, this is crazy. What a lot of people don't understand is that you're building a brand. So you're
yeah,
building a brand. The brand was impeccable. It speaks to your character. It speaks to like every aspect of your life. But a lot of people don't understand that whether you do something or you do nothing, you're building a brand.
yeah,
Everybody has a brand, and you're building it. And a lot of people don't understand that their actions and reactions are a part of building that brand. And so it's, something that I like to always, keep in mind is that, what is my brand saying? How am I building my brand? And of course, like, you killed it there in DC with your brand. And then here in Nashville, Middle Tennessee, you're
I know.
killing it as
It's
well.
oh
So
god,
how did that transition happen? You coming to Nashville?
yes, it's so again, just really had felt like I had conquered DC
DC.
because of that, and started to kind of get bored. And I realized, I could run my business from anywhere. I was staffing girls, throughout the US. I was flying all over the US for Maryland stuff, for my own stuff. And I was like, I can live anywhere. And what's pretty cool is when I was like 19 or 20, a few friends remembered that I had actually said the only other city I could see myself living in besides DC was Nashville. And I think it's because
So
I'm
how
a
long?
little bit of a country girl myself.
I mean, North Carolina is not too far away from country, right?
No, it's not at all. But everyone just said, I was the definition of Nashville.
Yeah,
Even in
I would
DC, I
say.
was called it. Um, and so I again took my second leap of faith. I went with my gut,
Mhm.
and my gut was I had the perfect opportunity arose when my lease was coming to an end, and I had it. I'd saved, I'd worked hard over the years, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a place in Nashville, and I don't know where the road's going to take me. But I did know I was going to be a realtor. I think that was always the ultimate end goal, because like you said, like I just kind of stumbled into the Maryland stuff. I honestly didn't really care about her.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I owe her a cut,
Yeah.
for my percentage. But I ultimately, at the end of the day, I want to be Sabrina. I don't want to,
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
it was from that, I knew I wanted to be in real estate. It really combined everything I loved. I knew none of it has shocked me in terms of the amount of work that it takes. It is a ton of hard work, and it's a ton of resilience and
Mhm.
not giving up and
That's
having a
true.
good attitude, and, having good relationships with people. Um, and so I knew I was going to do that here. I knew I was going to take what I learned up there and bring it down here. And so when I moved here, I was running the business, and it wasn't until COVID really, it changed everything for a lot of people.
Yep.
And I was actually on my way to Seattle when an event, like they had banned events over 500 people,
Mhm.
and so I had to take a flight back. And
Wow.
I knew on the flight back, I sat there and I just thought, this is never going to be the same. Like things are going to be so different from here on out.
Mhm.
And where I lived at the time in my apartment complex, the next day, because I can't sit still, I went downstairs and I was like, you know, I don't, I don't really have family. So I was like, I've got to stick this out.
Yeah.
And
Gotta figure it
so
out.
I went downstairs and I was like, you guys need some help. I live here. I've seen it. I know, I've been here for over a year now. Like this, you guys need some help. And it turns out it was temporary staff in that office, and they were actually looking for help in March of 2020. And sure enough, be careful what you ask for. They gave me the assistant property manager position.
So how long you been in Nashville?
It will be 3 years in May. So probably, just like 2.5.
Wow.
I know.
It's crazy because the way that you position yourself on social media and everything, it's like I can totally see. Yeah, you own Nashville. I'm like, this is insane. Like, and that just speaks volumes to you, Sabrina. I mean, that really does. I mean, it speaks volumes that, you transitioned to Nashville, you jumped right in. The transition was on the outside looking in, and then looking at just social media and everything that you're doing in Nashville seems like it's seamless. Like you've been here forever, and you've been here three years.
Not even,
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, it just speaks to your hustle, your grind, your commitment, your just stick to it ness, and your passion to not be average, and to, I mean,
people deserve better. I'm a firm believer in that, and I've seen it firsthand. I've come across a lot, and I just know, during the property management time during COVID, I did not like it. It was tough, being an entrepreneur and being, I've always been an independent contractor, so having to transition into a 9 to 5, like we said, my schedule is I open my eyes till when I close my eyes, not just 9 to 5. That you can't just box me in like that. And but I stuck. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. And what it did, property management gave me, it provided just, kept my head above water.
Yeah, definitely.
And I pursued my real estate license during that time. And I just told myself, this is the time. Like, I'm going to be a real estate agent before I'm 30, and I'm going to do a deal before I'm 30.
That's good.
And
you have.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. We've been talking about indirectly building a brand, right? And so what does building a brand mean to you when someone says, hey, I'm building a brand? And then what would you say is your brand right now? Because I mean, a lot of people, you could get totally swept up with being Marilyn Monroe, or like you said, I don't want to be Marilyn Monroe. I want to be Sabrina. Sabrina's who I am. And it can be a challenge of people, sticking the Marilyn Monroe onto you, or it's like, no, I'm Sabrina. And you can be, I think it's a fine line. You have to balance that very carefully, and you have to be strong on the other side, because like, I'm Sabrina, known as Marilyn Monroe when I do
and that's
that.
okay. Like, I find I am so grateful when people like see photos of her and they send me, they'll DM me a message like, Sabrina, I saw this today and I thought of you. And I love it, because I did brand myself as that. I did it, and I did it very well. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I wear red lipstick a lot. It's who I am. So and it's a very, it was a credible moment in my life. Like I told you, it took an insane amount of confidence to really, go in and, go into these rooms of thousands of people and,
be
perform
confident,
and be confident and own it during that time. But to me, gosh,
what would you tell somebody out there? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are in the process of building their brand, and you're further along than a lot of these people. Like, what is building a brand? How important is that to somebody?
Well, I think it's, staying true to your morals, your character, like who you are. And like we've stated, owning it. Like, I think when you first walked in, I was like, yeah, I'm a little bit, out there. And I am.
And that's cool. That's fine.
And I own it. And I'm not going to be for everyone. And I'm cool with that too. But, it's, to me, building a brand is really, you got to live it and you got to breathe it. You have to be all in. That's how I do things. And I've always been very passionate about really doing things from the heart. That was what my business was modeled after, doing things the heart way. And what that really entails is just, putting your heart into everything and
Exactly.
showing people a side that they otherwise don't see. Like we need more hugs. We need more, laughter. We need more of these things that the world tells us that we don't need. And they try to scare you away from it. And
That is true.
really, building that brand to me is, staying true to those things. And, confidence is a brand in itself,
Yeah. And it doesn't come overnight. I mean, it takes years to build a brand.
I agree with you. It's, and that's what I always say to people too. You speak right to it. I say, this is not an overnight success. This is experience. This is, depression.
Exactly.
This is, taking the harder path that a lot of people are not willing to do. Even right now, I sacrificed my place where I used to live, and I downsized tremendously because I jumped into real estate full time. And I did that because of the fact that I this is my passion. Like this is a career I see myself doing to the day I die.
And you got to fall in love with the process, right?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people see the end result. A lot of us see somebody that's successful, somebody that's making it, somebody that maybe has, depending on what you see as successful, whether it's money, whether it's, tangible items, whatever it is, and you see this end result, and you're like, wow, I want to be just like them. But yet you don't understand and you don't realize that, hey, they ate rice and beans, they slept in their car,
Yeah.
they've really ate crap for like a lot. And it was crazy because I was watching, I consume a lot of Gary V, a lot of his content, and he was talking about how for 13 years while his friends were buying these expensive cars and everything else, that he was just eating crap. Like he was just saving. And it was like a lot of people don't understand, like you got to fall in love. If you fall in love with the process, like when you get there, it's going to be that much more memorable and fulfilling.
Yeah.
And it's the process. You gotta fall in love with the process, and a lot of people fall out of it because they can't hang with the process.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset.
Exactly.
It's you've got to be, and that's what DC. When I say it made me into a woman, it made me into a woman because it built me.
Yeah.
It built everything. It built my mind. It built, there's a incredible amount of strength. I've spoken to Trent a couple of times, and I've stated to him as well. That in DC, you have to hustle or you will sink. They will sink you. They will. They will do it. And I think that was what up there, really helped me stand out too. On top of it, I think it was, not people not used to kind of seeing maybe an attractive blonde also like this as well, with that attitude. But I always know that men always like something to look at, but women like attitude.
Exactly.
And I've got both.
No, that's totally great. Well, let me ask you this. So when you, and I ask a lot of people this, so when your feet hit the floor in the morning, like what is your drive? Like what drives you? And we've talked about it a little bit here this morning, but what is it that drives you? Like every day, what drives Sabrina to not give up, to be better than you were yesterday? Because when the clock strikes midnight, the clock resets to 0.
Yeah, it does. Quickly too.
Yeah.
Well, to be transparent, most of the time it's my dog making me get up. He's gonna
the
go
dog
pee.
drives you. Hey, that's cool. Everyone has a why. This is that's cool.
No.
Every so often, our dog comes to the side of the bed. And I'm like, I don't want to get up.
No, it's gosh, it's so many things. It's really hard to boil it into one that really. I mean, I think it's just
kind of your drive overall, just to,
because I cannot express how much I want better.
Yeah.
I cannot express the background that I had. I wouldn't wish it really upon anyone.
But all of that is what drives you.
Yeah, it's I want better. I'm driven by, I like to be the best too. I really, if I'm, being fully honest, I like to be known as the best.
Well, Ricky Bobby says, if you're not first, you're last, right?
Yeah.
Good old Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, it's I'm driven by that. I'd like to really be known that way. And in a way, in terms of, I'm the best because of the fact that people know, like, I am going to go over and beyond. They know
Yeah.
that they're getting a type of, you know, just what's the word to call it? They're given some type of, you know, package, whatever, that they're not going to find with anyone else.
Yeah.
And, you know,
you're unique. You're I mean,
Yeah.
there's no other Sabrina out there. Byrum,
have you heard this laugh?
Well, let me ask you this. So on a daily basis, I believe that it's very important to continually self-develop, right?
Yes,
so
yeah.
whether it's podcasts, YouTube, reading a book, audiobooks, like with everything that you're doing, and we were talking about sharpening your skill set, how do you self-develop? Like, how do you pour into yourself on a daily basis? You know, it could be spirituality. It could be having devotion in the morning to get you in the right mindset. It could be, you know, positive, you know, motivational and positive, like YouTube videos or different things. Like, what does Sabrina do? What's, you know, how do you develop yourself?
Absolutely. So yeah, just exactly. Usually a lot, it has to, you know, boil down to Christ. It's making sure that no matter at the end of the day that he is my center focused. And, you know, I look back on my career and I would always think, you know, I'm the face and representation for this company, but I'm the face and representation for myself, and for Jesus Christ. And so I, you know, that I really try to start my day somewhere like that, where I love podcasts. And so, you know, listening to podcasts, I love inspirational people. I could tell you, I'm such a little, believe it or not, just a little nerd over here.
Hey, that's good.
I really love, you know, learning from other inspirational people who have not had it easy in the battles they have won and conquered, throughout their very, you know, entrepreneurial people. And I'm also, you know, always looking to, especially in real estate, I look at the people that are where I want to be, per se, not exactly the people who are right next to me. I look at the people that are where I want to be. And sometimes those people are not the friendliest, and sometimes they can be very cooperative.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's something to probably be learned from it to see, okay, well, how did they get there? How did they, you know, what did they do? Because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I don't know everything. I never will. But I really do strive to learn. And also, you know, in real estate, something that I would encourage is, you know, start where, you know, my first client ever came from actually me. I did an event in March or April, and I had introduced myself to everyone on that set. I was hired for an eBay commercial, and I had introduced myself to everyone. And this particular security guard on set, I kept walking back and forth past. And finally, like on the second day, he had asked me, you know, do you do this full time or whatever? And I said, no, I'm a full time realtor. And it was then like he was actually looking for someone to sell his home, and bam, you know, right away. And so, you know, to take your strength, you know, start where you know. And my strength is obviously that event background. And, you know, the events put myself in front of people that otherwise I would never meet. And so, you know, I think that's the beauty of real estate too, is that everyone's path is different. It's challenging. It's, you know, there's really no limit in the real estate world, which is what I love. And and it forces me to be with different people 24/7. And I love it. And I just cannot strive more than enough, you know, to know and see you know, that people really, really deserve better. And I'm going to give it to them.
So how do people reach you if they're looking to buy their house or sell their house, or they're looking to buy a house? Like, how can they reach you?
Yeah.
I know I'll tag you on this, but like,
that's what I was going to say. I was like, so first check out Josh's tags.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, whether it's, you know, feel free to, you know, reach out to Facebook.
Or what do you specialize in real estate? You know, some people are in commercial, some in residential. Like,
I am still, so I actually go and pursue my luxury certification in 2 weeks.
Oh, and sweet. So, you know what? It's crazy because I didn't know that there was something like that.
Oh yeah. It's always there. In Tennessee, it's a little bit of, you know, it's farmhouse estate kind of look
Yeah.
of luxury market around here. And you know, it's the type of clients I was used to working with as well. And like I touched on and said, you know, typically they want the best and they like the best. And someone, you know, challenged me a couple of months back and they were like, Sabrina, you know, those people have the pick of the litter, you know, why would they pick you? And I was like, well, you picked me to work with me on this.
Oh,
so
touche.
And that was a client.
Yeah.
And so I said, if you'll pick me, they will too. And so that's kind of where I'm headed. I don't, again.
So that's my question. So where do you see yourself in 3 years, 5 years?
Well, I hope to, I hope to be owning my own brokerage. I really, I'm very passionate about entrepreneur and leadership and, you know, women, especially because, you know, the challenges I have faced, you know, as a woman as well, too, I can, you know, be of assistance and be, you know, relatable in those circumstances. And, I really, you know, I really do. I hope to, you know, have my own brokerage. I really, I'll work with anyone, but I really love, want to specialize in the high end as well as I want to dabble in commercial. I want to,
commercial's its own beast.
I love it though. That's what I'm saying. It's a whole nother world and I love it.
Whole nother world. Well, let me, you know, it's totally, you know, we're getting ready to wind down here. And I've had an incredible time with you, Sabrina. Like,
why you wanted to end it?
I know this is crazy. It's like, so, you know, there is me and the nonprofits that I lead, you know, there's such an opportunity, like you were talking about women, you know, there's such an opportunity, especially when it comes to young people. My son's 16 years old. He attends Blackman High School. He plays football, but he was telling me how he wants to get into, you know, real estate. And, you know, he's saying that he wants to drive the Range Rover and he wants all the things. And, you know, he's A and B student and he's very driven. He's, you know, we'll be going out to eat somewhere. I'm like, hey, let's go. We're going to go eat. And he's like, no, that's good. I'm going to be here working out. And I'm like, dang. I was like he is driven. And, you know, it's, you know, some of it, you know, I take credit for because I'm always telling him that, you know, you have to have a mindset. It's all about mindset and you have to be driven. And, you know, I think for us, a lot of young people, especially when I work with juvenile hall and I work with other young people, that you see a lot of smart kids and it's like, they don't have any direction and they, it's like what you're doing, you could do the exact same thing. You're an entrepreneur. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, I was actually I consume a lot of Coach Mike Burt's content. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him before or not.
I have now.
Yeah, Michael Burt. He has a young he takes teenagers and he'll have a class for them about entrepreneurship. It's about $200. I told my wife, I said, hey, we're gonna get our 16-year-old into it. And I just think it's so important. I mean, we can either be held down by our circumstances, right? Or we can rise above them. And I was talking with somebody yesterday evening at a birthday party, and he was telling me, it's like, well, you know, I kind of disagree with you because not everybody has the opportunity. And I was like, you know what? In my mind, I think that everybody has the opportunity. It may be harder for others and it may be, but it's like, okay, well, just in my mind, I'm like, the opportunities will come along in your life. A lot of times we don't pay attention to those opportunities and be like, it's only a window of time.
Yeah.
And you have to take advantage of it. And so, you know, like you were saying, a lot of women, you know, your passion for working with women and entrepreneurship. And, you know, you see a lot of single mothers that have went through law school and have graduated or have been CPAs. I mean, real estate agents. I mean, when you really put your mind to it, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, literally sacrificing, downsizing, doing all that. But at the end of the day, all the blood, sweat, and tears are going to pay off. And if you don't quit, it's like, you know, what does the Bible say? You know, if you'll reap if you faint not.
Yeah,
it just gotta fall
keep
in
pressing
love.
forward.
Yeah, you gotta fall in love with it. You gotta be totally crazy. Like you gotta be totally crazy committed to the process and not be distracted.
I agree. I think that's one of the things that really sets me apart as a realtor too. Is, you know, unfortunately, not everyone is dealt the life experiences. And I think in some ways, I can't pick and choose who gets life experiences or not. But I mean, that is truly what has, created this character and this, unstoppable mindset and attitude that I know that no matter what I deal with in real estate, that I will conquer it.
Yeah. The unstoppable mindset. That is good. The unstoppable mindset.
Yes. Good luck.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Good luck trying.
No, it's totally, I mean, it's cool. And especially,
look, you can't even get me off of here right now.
I know. Look at that. Hey, let me tell you, it's really cool that when we can network together, right? Yes. It's like birds of a feather flock together. I tell my son, I was like, it's not, it's about the crew that you hang out with, right? You got to pick your friends, your inner core friends really close. I was telling somebody, fist pump. Boom.
Yeah,
I was telling somebody the other night as well, as I love having conversations. I love having conversations, and I was telling somebody, so you got to keep your core very, very tight.
Yeah.
Like I could probably count on one hand my best friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want somebody that's going to challenge me, inspire me, empower me, encourage me. I don't want somebody that's going to take away. I mean, we can be acquaintances, we can be friends, but I'm not going to spend 45 minutes on my time talking to you, because in my mind, I could be using that time for something else. Exactly. Now, there's a period of time where we can chat and we can do something for 45 minutes, and it's just, we just have fun. But for me, it's constantly like, I gotta be self-developing. I can be doing something. And it's kind of, I was put in check the other night by somebody else I was talking to, because they were like, Josh, everything doesn't have to be running and gunning.
Yeah.
Like, you have to take spurts of time to rest and relax, shut off the phone, shut off the internet, shut off the social media, shut off the friends, and rejuvenate yourself. And I think that is just as important as everything else.
It is.
And taking time. And it's hard for me to do.
It is. Well, touching on life experiences, back when I was 25, and as we discussed, and I've told you, how I had created such a demand for myself, I'd also put myself in the hospital during a time period where and it wasn't until, the doctor that I had, he came into the room and he'd brought a calendar with him, and he sat on the edge of my bed and he said, Sabrina, I want you to find when was the last time you had a day off. And he said, I mean off. He said, I don't mean like you go and work a gig for an hour over here. He said, I mean completely off. And we had to go 8 months back.
Wow.
And he was like, that's insane. He was like, I won't ever forget his words to me. And he said, if I don't take the time to rest and do what I need to do for myself and self-develop and make myself better, he said, I can't go and perform a 16-hour surgery on a client over here. And that has always stuck with me. And it stuck with me too, because, it should never get to the point where you put yourself in the hospital. It's stupid.
Yeah,
because
your
now
body will shut down on you.
It did. And, and then you got a, $3,000 hospital bill on top of it, which doesn't make things easier. It makes things worse. And so, I agree on the fact that, you have to pause, you have to rest. And it's not an easy thing to do by any means.
And it can be even spurts. Like, I always thought, like, take a whole day off, and that's good. But, another friend of mine, I know Trent knows, his name's Jabri Harrison. But he was talking to me about, even the biblical aspect, how Jesus never really took, he always like was always talking about how he drew himself away for periods of time. It was like these spurts, and it was like, you got to have these spurts of time. And, I try to do that for myself and make that time where I can rest, reflect, be with my family, and rest, because I've been there where my body's just shut down, and I'm just, I can't go.
Well, you don't see people dying from being happy. You see them dying from being stressed out.
Yeah.
And so you have to, that's what I always keep in mind too, is, it will wear and tear your body down as well. It shows.
Yeah.
So
it does. And that's where entrepreneurs, like, you gotta have that balance, but you also can't, you gotta be focused, get back on the grind after you're done, and just
you gotta keep moving.
Going.
Cry for an hour, but then, hair flip and move on. You've earned that cry, but you've earned that move on too.
Yep. So. Well, Sabrina, I want to say that it has been an absolute pleasure. It has been an absolute
You mean I didn't
joy.
annoy you enough?
It has been an absolute. I mean, I've had an amazing time just talking with you. I mean, learned more about you.
Poor
You're
thing.
all over. I mean, you're funny. Definitely going to network a lot together. We got a lot going on. I'm getting ready to distribute toys to parents of getting ready to distribute toys to children whose parents are incarcerated right now. And so I got half of my garage is filled with brand new toys. Getting ready to go down to Alabama to pick up some clothing. It's Adidas and Columbia.
Yeah.
Wear that brand new stuff. Getting ready to, I got to rent a 26-foot U-Haul truck. I'm going to be getting a lot of stuff from Amazon that they don't sell, and they don't, so I'm going to be getting a lot of that stuff. It's crazy. It's like toasters and coffee makers and a bunch of stuff. And it's, I would absolutely love if you're interested in any of that. Like, I mean, I want to say thank you as well for loving and liking a lot of our posts on Breakthrough Nashville. I mean, I tag you. You don't have a choice. But I tag Spread the Positive on everything too.
It's okay.
It's like, hey, I'm gonna tag you. I think it's the whole sales thing. Is like I stay up 1-2 in the morning.
I'm glad someone thinks of me.
Yeah, I mean, I scroll through my Facebook friends and my Instagram friends, and I'm scrolling, especially like Instagram. Like I'm looking for social media influencers that have like 50,000 followers or more, because I know they're living paycheck to paycheck too. I mean, and so we are like just kind of just scrolling and through Facebook, and who is this person? What do they do? How can we network together? And constantly messaging them and constantly staying on top of them, and just
you always be nice. You never know who you're talking to, or in your case, tagging. So
exactly. Yeah, tagging. I'm an OG.
I'm a poke you.
Hashtag poke you. Hey Sabrina, well, thank you so much for joining me on the with Breakthrough the Breakthrough You podcast, and really just focusing on breaking through those mindsets that really hold us down. And it's like we have to rise above those, and we can't be a victim. We have to be a victor. And you are the perfect example of that. I mean, every day, you haven't attained, you haven't got to where you want to be, but the process is still happening.
Yeah.
One day you will be there. One day you will be there, but you've come further than where you were yesterday.
Yeah. Well, you can't control the cards you're dealt, but you can certainly control how you play them.
Exactly.
And so I just, thank you so much again too. If I could hug everyone out there, I would. So just know that.
Hey, I'm telling you, if you're looking at, if you're going to be selling your house, or you're going to be buying a house, I mean, definitely reach out to Sabrina. I mean, it's incredible to have a real estate agent or realtor, as I've been placed in check by. It's not a realtor.
Not by me. I didn't do it.
Realtor, not by you, but some real estate agents they're like, no, it's realtor, and I'm like, okay, cool. So now it's like
it's Byrum,
Byrum realtor. So if you're looking, I mean, definitely, we're gonna be tagging Sabrina on here. Definitely a lot of people still moving into middle of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And still a lot of great deals to be had out there. I know they're building a ton here in Murfreesboro.
A ton of new construction out here in Gallatin. Yeah, definitely.
Well, let me ask you this. We're getting ready to wrap down. I'm going to shut my laptop down. Where are some areas, maybe some hot areas that people maybe need to look to buy?
Oh, well, I mean, Spring Hill and Columbia are definitely, they're the neighbors to Franklin over there.
Yeah.
And so big kind of family oriented areas out there, and just a lot of people, starting to want to build there. Gallatin and Goodlettsville, they're a little bit further out, but they are huge new construction areas. And it's, don't be, I always I make my buyers and sellers, every single one will tell you that I make them promise me that they're not going to give up in this process, because we're going to win.
Yeah.
And I know it, we're going to win in this, and we have won. And those are probably a couple of good areas to start. And, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. You can email me at buywithbyrum@gmail. You can give me a ring as well too.
Sweet.
Well, you can give me a physical ring too if you want. But
either one works. Oh, cute.
Trent's like, get her. Oh.
That is cool. Thank you so much, Sabrina. I've had an incredible time this morning. I know I'm super excited because it's Columbus Day, Monday,
I thought.
or as Google had corrected me, Indigenous Peoples Day. Like it's a day off. And so I'm going to grill. We're going to grill and we're going to grill. Yeah. I'll still be working nonprofit stuff and got a lot going on. But I'm so excited first of all, to interact with you on social media. And second of all, to meet you in person. You have an incredible personality. You have a personality that just attracts people. And when you have that type of personality, it's yes, behind the scenes, there may be things going on, but it's like, we don't bring that into it. We can handle that. We can manage that. And sometimes it's just incredible to meet someone that we can network with that's on the same mindset. And for that, Sabrina, I give you kudos for that.
It's a rare, beautiful thing. I agree. It's, mindset's kind of hard to find these days.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
So for everybody out there, we are signing off here. The Breakthrough You podcast on the Spread the Positive Network with Trent Denson. Dun, dun, dun. And we're signing off. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Sabrina. Hope you have a wonderful Sunday. We will talk to you all soon. Make sure that you join in on our next podcast that we're going to have, and we will light up the skies.
Yes.
From all of us here, thank you so much, and good morning.